are just common people that everyone wants to remember. Priceless melody, bubbles in your stomach, get on center stage. Prodigy, get up and on. Priceless melodies, bubbles in your stomach, get you to center stage. Everly in your memory, put senses to pride in your answer. Flame that burning ember. Famous people are just common people.
Why, hello there. My name is John. Here, now you can see me. And I am the guitarist for the band UFN. For those of you who don't know who we are, I posted on my Instagram story, so I don't know. But for those of you who don't know, we are a pop punk band out of Livermore, California. And I have been taking up the task of teaching y'all the different songs off of our newest album. We released it. It's called This Is Temporary. We released it this summer. And it's got 12 tracks on it. We're through 2, so this will be the 3rd one. Yeah. Hello, Perond. Welcome. Let me go look at the story right now, Burb. It's just a quick video, you know. And if you notice, I have a new mic, by the way. I'm hoping that it's, you know, it's not worse than the other mic. I'm using the other mic to record the guitar. So, hey, Emma. Hello. Very enthusiastic hellos today, all caps. Definitely let me know how the volume levels are. I want to make sure the guitar is not louder than my voice, and I want to make sure that the guitar and my voice are both louder than any backing tracks I play. So this is the second single that we released before we dropped This Is Temporary. So we put out our first album in 2019, Tremble, and then we released I Want to Tell You, which I already covered last week. If you haven't, go ahead and check the rerun from last Saturday. And I taught you guys, it's all in standard tuning. I taught you how to play all the little hard parts, all the little fun parts. Awesome. But yeah, today we're gonna go into Cat in the Window because sequentially I Want to Tell You comes right before Cat in the Window, so it's a nice transition. But beyond that, we actually had a special transition that we were gonna do in the studio version that we didn't end up putting in, but we sometimes play during the live version. And it goes straight from I Want to Tell You cleanly into Cat in the Window. So yes, I do blend into the wall with my shirt. Yeah, a little bit. I'm a little brighter here, but I'm going to go ahead and reiterate that the ending of I Want to Tell You for you guys, and then we'll go straight into Cat in the Window. And then once I get to the point where Cat in the Window would start, I'm just going to go ahead and play the track. Let me go ahead and get the audio loaded up. You should be able to... Oh, you hear the bass, you hear Jack. Okay, let's do this. Okay. Boom, boom. All right. Yes? Okay. I will need to lean over and change some amp settings in the middle because I actually don't have. Can you bring the kitty into view? Tally, my cat, is actually staying with me right now. She is not in the room. She is out and about, and she got scared because I started hitting some of the drums in my room, and now she is underneath a cat tree in the corner of a room that was the furthest from my room. So I feel extremely bad, and I will not touch my drums for a while. I had to set some stuff up because I got new gear for Black Friday. I know, I'm very sad and guilty. But yeah, no, she's just sitting, and you can see, like, she's in this little shadowy corner, and you can see her eyes reflecting light at you. All right. So I Want to Tell You ends with... Where am I? Yes. And that's where it would normally end. But in the next version, in the combined version, risk of picking her up in case she's too scared. Now let's listen to it.
I'm staring outside. Emptiness is slowly creeping up into my life, but I'll watch the sun hide behind everything. Horizons just kind of untangle me, but they'll never see me cry. I know the light was always blinding, but running for the hills is always better than unwinding this castle of loneliness is all I can remember. I'm planning my escape in mid-December. I come back to that window in the dead of night. There's a light that likes to flicker barely out of sight. The shadows in the courtyard seem to come alive, and they're waiting for the day my fears and heart collide. I'm crawling to get out like God, you'll never know, but I'm broken down. They all just make me feel alone. I'm not the one they'll ever come to truly know, so I'll sneak out. Though God is probably freezing cold. Whoa. Do I carry it right? The person in the mirror just wants to run and hide. Well, I'm dying in the silence of every single error I've ever told in confidence, until I'm out of fight. I'll try looking for a hand to hold, but summer's getting older and I never got the time to grow eyes. Reaching up the wall and once my wind by, they all just like to hide behind their inside.
Me too, Parant.
It was March 18th. We had a big fight. You left in a huff, woke up in the middle of the night.
my gosh. So a rather long song, 5 minutes and 13 seconds, which is a little longer than our normal. Our normal is around 3 to 3.5 minutes. I really like this song. It's very atmospheric, I think, and especially that intro is what takes up a lot of time, and the solo is long too. I will say from the outset that this is probably one of the harder solos that I do, just of the This Is Temporary stuff. And it's not because it's particularly fast, maybe in one or two sections, but it's really because it's so long, and because the scale and the little motions and patterns I do feel so herky-jerky and choppy in a way where it's kind of, you don't mentally flow as well. Like, say, Untitled 1 solo. Oh, let me actually put gain on. If I'm gonna actually demo this, Untitled 1 solo feels like it really flows into itself, and naturally kind of progresses, whereas Cat in the Window, it definitely has peaks and troughs in its energy level, especially towards the middle and to the end, but the motions themselves are very sporadic, and so it was built that way to give like a kind of chaos to it. So okay, thank you for stopping by, girlfriend. It's been great having you. I like that your name came up as purple. I don't know why. It just seems really cool. All right. So, for instance, the Untitled 1 solo is really like... Oh my gosh. Had the wrong pickup on. Start again. It's very groovy. It feels like it's all in the same headspace. Whereas, I mean, of course, near the end, it's doing that ascending, and it kind of builds tension that way. But with Cat in the Window, it's very much like you'll see the motions are like, it starts down there, and then it goes up here. You'll see the hand kind of like shift up and down. So that's kind of the really the ethos of the solo is that really segmented, compartmentalized jerkiness and chaos. Just got to make sure I'm in tune, you know. Now, this song can be played entirely in standard tuning, 6-string guitar. I don't even use the 7th string down here, so if you're eyeing what my hands are doing, don't worry about the fact that I have an extra open string here. I just have a lower string. All right. So, that being said, let's get the reverb and the clean tone back. Perfect. All right. Misère d'Amour does something similar. The solo is really turbulent and it fits the lyrics. Absolutely. And that one almost flows a little more, but it's very chaotic, especially at the end. It just goes full on crazy. Whereas Cat in the Window evokes this just underlying feel of restlessness and unease throughout, I think. Okay, so as you'll notice, Cat in the Window starts with that little bass trill. Fun fact, that is bass. It's Jack playing just really high up on the neck. I don't actually know the notes he's playing. He's basically just alternating 2 notes, doing a hammer on and pull off. And then the first section is not to tempo. Let's see. This, when I hit the first few chords. It was just done with whenever felt right. So, and actually, the way we do it on stage is we're really vibing. Yeah, we are. The way that we time it on stage is Jack does the little bass trill, and then at some point he hits it a little harder and it goes louder, and that's my cue to just go for the chord. So it's actually, you'll hear on stage, he kind of tries to fade himself in, and then it'll peak. The volume of the bass will peak at a certain point, and that's when I hit my chord. So it really feels like he's carrying you up in the volume. It's really fun to do live. But let's go ahead and pull up the chord chart here. You can see I put them, just as always, in sequential order. And any chords that are really close to other chords, I will just reference that chord. So if, for instance, the F7 power chord down at the second row, the last one, A minor, A minor. Oh my gosh, where is it? A momet. A momet 5, actually. But like the F7, for instance, how it's on 1, 3, and 2, the power chord one. If I were to say, if there was another chord that was exactly that same shape, but it was on like the 8th fret, I would just tell you it's like the F7 power chord, but on the 8th fret instead of the 1st fret. The only exception being the F power chord and the G power chord, because they make a reappearance through the whole song. I figured I'd just throw in the extra G power chord, even though it's the same shape. And then, the little ones that have parentheses on them. A minor omit 5, C omit 5, and F7 omit 3, and F omit 3 are all, the parentheses just mean that sometimes you play without that note in parentheses, and sometimes you play with that note in parentheses. All right, so let's go ahead and go through. The majority of the song is going to be the F power chord, G power chord, and A minor power chord. And these can all be done on acoustic. The only one that's really a bar chord is the A minor. And once you're up there, it's a little easier to do a bar chord than, say, down at the G or the F. So you're really just doing the first 4 notes from E to A to D to G. So 1st fret, 3rd fret, 3rd fret, 2nd fret for F. And that's for the strings respectively. And so for the first chords, you really just hit them really slowly, kind of pluck through all of them, but I don't individually try to like that. I really just do it all kind of as one motion. Then once I get to the G, then I'll pick each of them, because I want to make sure I get that final note, the 4th fret of the G string, give it a little vibrato. So do the F chord all together, slowly though, and then when you go up to G, hit them one at a time. And then hit it all together again before you slide down. Now with the F, the little melody I do here is... and then I hit the G, arpeggiate it again. That little melody I'm doing on the F chord is actually kind of barring the chord. Keep in mind, I'm not barring just the whole 1st fret. What I'm really doing is I'm putting pressure on the 1st fret of the E string, and then, let me go ahead and pull you back up. I'm putting pressure on the 1st fret of the E string, and then what I'm doing is I'm arching my finger and using this part of my finger, where is it? That part of my finger, to bar off the top 2 frets, the top 2 strings, E and B. So really, there's no pressure on the D string, the G string. So if I were to play them like this, you can see they're pretty much muted, because I'm just trying to put pressure on the lowest string and the highest 2 strings. So you keep that F chord shape. And the melody that I do is 1st fret of the E string, and you have to keep the low note rooted the whole time. So I go ahead and hit that high E on the 1st fret, and then lift off. You'll see I move my hand, and that takes the pressure from my pad off of the 1st fret. And then I go back down and hammer it, and I pluck the B string to get the 1st fret of the B string. So it's 1st fret E string, open E, 1st fret B, and then I hit the G string, which is already holding the 2nd fret. So then it's back onto your fingers. Yeah. And then once you've basically gone through that F, G, F, G, not to tempo, then it slides into tempo and the singer starts with the guitar. Again, this is the kind of thing where on stage, literally Sadie Ray and I just time it together. Sadie will watch me as I hit that first chord, and then we just figure out the tempo because it's just guitar and vocals, so it's a little easier to time. And then you go up from the F chord to the G chord to the A minor, which again is that bar chord, and you really only have to bar up to the B. You don't have to worry about trying to hit the E. And you make sure you aren't using your middle finger as well. So you want to make sure, really, you can use your middle finger to help with the bar. That's really a good strategy, is kind of using it to push your index finger into it. Now, the intro and all the choruses, even the outro choruses, use this exact progression. All you do is you go from the F power chord, those 4 notes, to the G power chord, to the A minor power chord, which is 5 notes because you're including the B string with that bar, and then the G power chord again, and then you loop it. F, G, A minor, G. You're going up and then down. It's just going through those back and forth, with various strumming patterns, of course. But this is really the meat of the song at the chorus. Especially during the intro, make sure you have plenty of reverb on. And just kind of sink into that rhythm. Whoops. I sunk too much into it. And don't be afraid to add these little extra strums. I'm just lifting off the chord. I'm just lifting the pressure off of the chord with my hand. I'm just not pressing it, but I'm keeping them on the string so that they all mute. Yeah. So it's ba ba chka ba ba chka. And I do that second one as an upstroke, so that when I do it goes naturally from an upstroke into a downstroke and then an upstroke that are muted. Perfect. All right, now the little exit melody for the intro, because the intro just loops those chords while the vocals are going. The little exit melody, again, is not on the chord chart. What you do is you go to the G string, start on the 4th fret, and you're going to hammer on to the 5th fret and then pull off. And then once you pull off, you go ahead and hit the 5th fret of the D string, so the string below it. So it's... And I usually will just pluck twice. I'll pluck once on the G for the hammer on and pull off, and then I'll pluck once to get the D. And then you go ahead and slide up to the 7th fret. And then, once you're here on the 7th fret of the D string, you use your index finger to hit the 7th fret of the A string. And then you slide down to the 5th. So you really just do this little back and forth on 4 and 5. And then you slide up from 5 to 7 on D, and then slide down from 7 to 5 on A. And here, once you're down here at the 5th fret of A, you go ahead and hit the 5th fret of D. So you kind of have to make your finger roll over and kind of hit the string below it. So G, D, A, D. And once you've hit that little 2-note chord, me have tiny fingers. Well, it's a very condensed hand position because you're really only, because you're sliding, the only distance that you have is to cover is one fret. Slide, and then that's just the same fret, different string, and then same fret, different string, and then this is the biggest distance. You go ahead and hit the 7th fret of the E string. So you go ahead and hit the 5th of A, 5th of D, and then 7th fret of E, and you hit it twice, and that's where you slide down and you go ahead and start the chorus proper. So once again, 4 to 5, and then back to 4 on G as a hammer-on pull-off. Slide up from 5 to 7 on D. Slide down from 7 to 5 on A. And then you go ahead and hit the 5th fret of D. And then while keeping those 2 notes held down, you hit all of them as a chord, but you hit the 7th fret of the E string. And then you slide down. And right there is kind of the hardest change for pedals, because I have one gain pedal and one reverb pedal. And so what I have to do is, to get into the chorus, I have to not only put my gain pedal on and take my reverb pedal off, which requires 2 button presses with my feet, I also have to flick the pickup switch. Because normally when I play gain, or when I play any kind of general rock, I have it in the bridge position, where this pickup that's closest to the saddle here, this pickup is active, and then this one isn't. When you have it in the middle position here, oh my gosh, I can't with cameras. When you have it in the middle position here, both are active. And then when you have it in the other position, this one's active. Now, when you go closer to the strings, this is the listening device. Remember, this is the pickup. When you go closer to the strings, you're catching more of the resonance, because the string is getting closer to the center where the wave is biggest, where the sine wave is biggest. So when you listen to it close, really close to the point where it's anchored, it's got a lot more of the higher frequencies, because the string's oscillating a little differently. So you're going to get higher tones out of the bridge pickup. I go ahead for this clean part, I switch it to the middle, because I think it's a nice balance. You get some of the definition from the highest pickup, but you also get the low resonance and boominess of the low pickup, of the neck pickup, as it's called. That versus that's with the mid position, both pickups listening, and this is the higher pickup listening, the bridge. This bridge, I use it all the time for rock and for gainy tones. It's awesome. The boominess doesn't usually distort well, but when you're doing a clean tone, it gives a nice fullness to it. So that being said, I have to switch it in between hitting this chord and then starting the next part of the song, the chorus. So I have to turn on my gain, turn off my reverb, and switch my pickup in one beat. In actually one beat. I have that much time to do it. So basically, now's where the song starts. Let me go ahead and pick up the gain part. Actually, before I do that, let me run through the clean part. So you've got drawn out chord. When you go up to G, one at a time, and put a little vibrato on that last one. Strum it again. F. Little melody, 1st of E, open, 1st of E, G, G, chord, time it with the singer. Just fall into this chord progression. F, G as a transition chord into A minor. You play it 4 times through before you start your melody. And don't be afraid to let a little of the high notes ring out above. Just don't make a too big a deal out of them. All right, little melody here. 4-5-4 on G. Slide up, slide down. Chord. There you go. Now you're started. And now, let's get to the gainy part. Boom. Let's do it. Same exact chord progression and strumming pattern. You're just a little more aggressive. That was perfectly timed, Piran, because it looked on my end like it just happened as soon as I was about to start the chorus. So you go ahead, once you have your gain on and you've started the full chorus, you play that same chord progression, F, G, A, G, twice. And then there's a little solo melody part that happens on the guitar while the rest of the instrumentation carries on that same exact progression. So the chorus, if you're just playing the rhythm guitar, just hammer on that F, G, A, G back and forth 4 times. I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to teach the harder lead parts later. For now, let's just go ahead and focus on the rhythm part. So now that you've got your gainy electric guitar ready, go ahead. I'm assuming you know how to make a power chord. If you don't, just go ahead and take the F power chord, G power chord, and A minor, and just play the top 3 notes. And if you just do that, the A minor power chord actually doesn't need that bar. You're just hitting the first note of the lowest fret that's listed there. So 1st fret, and then 3rd fret, and then 3rd fret for the F power chord. 1, 2, 3. So that's E, A, and D. And then same with G power chord, E, A, and D, but that's on the 3rd fret and 5th fret. And then 5th and 7th for the A. And you play it 4 times, remember. While the lead guitar is doing its little solo-y bits. And the lead guitar is actually playing those full chords over the rhythm guitar that's just playing those simpler chords. So the lead guitar is just adding an extra note for definition. And then it does its little lead riff, and then it goes back to hitting those chords. So the lead guitar is playing along with you. It's just stopping to do those melodies, and then it comes back and joins the rhythm guitars again. All right. Now, that same little riff we learned, the 4-5-4, 7 or 5-7, 7-5, 5-7, with, you know, the transition into the gain chorus, is the exact same melody that you use to transition from the first chorus into the first verse. The only difference being it's not clean and reverby. It has a telephone effect where you take out, if you have an EQ pedal, you can take out the high end and take out the low end, and you've just got this little mountain in the middle, and that makes it sound like a telephone. I do not have my pedals hooked up, so it'll just sound like a normal guitar. But just know that's how I achieve that effect. I have the MXR 12-band EQ, and I've just got a big old mid mountain. I think I've made it like thinner and big and wider at different points, so it's really just kind of up to your ear what sounds best. But I keep the gain on it. So yeah, F, G, A, G, back and forth, and then the lead guitar does its same melody. Now, here's the fun part. These are not power chords anymore. Once we enter the verse, we enter the realm of thirds. You heard it. You've heard it before. If you listened to Misère, or I want to tell you, I've brought them up there as well. And I like to talk about them because they're not common knowledge, especially for people that kind of taught themselves or don't know a lot of music theory. You know how power chords work, most of you, I assume. Or at least you know what it looks like and what the shape feels like. You've got the root note and then 2 strings up. 1 string up and 2 frets up. So like 5 and 7, and then the 5th fret of E would be the one that you pinch off, and 7th fret of A. Now, with a third, you literally just invert which finger is on what string. So instead of the 7th fret being A, it's now E, and the 5th fret is now A instead of E. Now, if you want to play a power chord, and then you want to do a third of the same note, you need to keep in mind that your lowest note is the 5th fret. And so you need to make that third shape and then carry it down so that your lowest note is on the 5th fret still. So you'll need to move the third down. Thirds are almost like a mirror image. If you think of the root note fret, you have your 5th fret, and if you're doing a minor third, that is an exact mirror image. It's the same exact if you just flip it around the root note. Now, minor thirds aren't the only ones here, though. We have, as you see, A minor omit 5. And then we have a C omit 5, which is an interesting chord. We haven't seen it before. That is, at least in this song, that is a major third. So once you go from A minor, you've got 5th fret and 3rd fret right here. 5th fret of E, 3rd fret of A. Don't worry about the parentheses note right now. And then you go up to one whole step, so you go 2 frets. It'll be the same chord, and then C omit 5 is the 3rd chord we hit. So now, go back. So 5 and 3, and then you go up to 7 and 5. Still the minor third shape. And now, once you've hit those 2 chords, now you go up to C omit 5, which is 8 and 7, major third shape. So thirds, even though a power chord will always be 2 frets apart and 1 string apart, unless you're playing on the B string, when you're doing a third, it will either be a minor third or a major third. It'll be, the higher note will be either 1 or 2 frets behind. So, isn't that one of Santa's reindeer? Comet? Yeah, I think so. Comet, carbon oxygen mit 5. Okay. So, we've got the A minor omit 5. And the strumming pattern is a little trickier than the chorus. It's almost like a little gallop, like a little skip. And I mute every time I'm finishing that little quick part. All right, so now that we've got the minor and major third shapes at least addressed, you go ahead and do a minor third on 5 and 3. This will all be on the E string. Go up to 7 and 5, just slide the shape, and now you hit the 8 and 7 for the third chord. And then, once you've exhausted the time on 8 and 7, slide down, and you're going to hit a major third shape with the 1st fret of E and the open fret of A. So that is an F major. And then you slide up from that to a G major third shape. And then you play the same part again. So again, that goes A. This is a B minor, and then C major, F major, G major, and then back. You go A minor, B minor, and here you slide up to E minor, which is the 12th fret of E, but it's still that minor shape. So 12 and 10. And then once you've done that chord, it's basically an alternative. It's the alternate of going to C omit 5 to the major. You go to the minor on the 12th fret and the 10th fret instead of the 8th and 7th. So basically you go A, B, C, F, G, and then A, B, E, F, G. And so you loop those. Yeah, it's a very chaotic strumming pattern. All right, now we're halfway through the verse, but everything's the same. The only difference being you can see the little parentheses notes are now coming in. For A minor, omit 5, and C, omit 5, we are not changing any, we're not adding any musical notes. We're just augmenting, well, augmenting isn't the right word because that's also a musical term, but we're adding the same note twice to the chord. So we have, for instance, for the A minor, we've got an A on the 5th fret and a C on the 3rd fret of A. Now, those are just 2 musical notes. When we add this 3rd note up high, you'll notice it's an octave above the A string 3rd fret. It's the 5th fret of the G string. Same musical note, that is a C. That's still a C, as is down on the A string. It's just basically outlining and shoving in your face the higher note a little more. So the second time you go through, you basically play that verse riff, 5, 7, 8, 1, 3, 5, 7, 12, 1, 3 are the root notes for your thirds. And then this next time, you do the exact same chord progression, but you just add the octave for all of your chords. So when minor thirds come up, it'll look like this, where you've got your middle finger on the root note, your index finger on the 2 notes behind on the minor third, and then you've got 2 strings of space. You'll see there's a jump, so I'm hitting E and G right there, and they're on the same exact fret. The minor thirds will always be on the same exact fret. And when I want to do that little mute, I actually just pick up the minor third shape and I keep my ring finger on the octave. And carry that same shape up to the B minor. Now, when you get to the major third, your octave is still going to be 2 frets up, but your major third note has shifted up closer to the root note. So your shape is actually going to be, you're hitting 1 note on either side, on either fret of the root note fret. So when you hit the major third, it's basically, you can think of the root note is in a box now. Whereas when you're hitting the minor third, it's on top of the octave note. Now, when you slide down to this open fret, it's a little easier. All you have to do is, I really just hit all of the strings from E to G open. Other than, the 1st fret and the 2nd fret. You can just kind of hold your 2. Imagine like you're hitting the note over here on the open string. Just don't press down. And you're getting the same exact shape you would be getting. You're just carrying that same shape through up and down the strings. So because F is major, you shift your octave up here. And then you slide up to G, where it's a major third again, so the octave is, again, on either side of the root note. Ooh. Make sure when you slide up from that G to the A minor, you shove your middle finger up back to that 5th fret, because you don't want to carry that same shape over. You're going to be on the 4th fret, which is wrong. And now, at the very end of the verse, I actually do something a little different. I keep on that 12, 10, and then 12 on the G string there. And the strumming pattern just goes open. And instead of going down to F on the 1st fret, I hit it up here, an octave up. So what I'll do is I'll do 12 and 10 and 12, and I'll slide up to 13, 12, and 14 on E, A, and G, respectively. Again, you're skipping D on this. And I'll slide up and then back down. I'll kind of do like a... And then when I would normally transition down, I just hit the F and G an octave up. Again, 13, 12, 14, and then 15, 14, 16 for G. Now you're back to the chorus. Same exact chords. Remember, power chords. Now, the second chorus is the first time that you hit those slides that the bass guitar is doing. Once you are already in the middle of your chord progression, you do F, G, A. When you're going back down to G, just before you go back down to F, you slide up to the 8th fret of E. That's and make the power chord there. That's a C power chord. And then you slide up to C, hit it once, and then slide back down to F and start the chord progression again. You only do that once, if my memory serves me correct. You only do that once for the second chorus. You don't do it at all in the first chorus, and you do it every time in the last chorus. So, let me go ahead and recap. We'll go through the first verse and then the second chorus real quick, because the second chorus is exactly the same as the first. So, you go ahead and do your little transition riff that you learned from the intro into the chorus. Thirds, remember, without your high note, and I usually mute them. It actually gives a little chunkierness to the strumming, to the chaotic strumming. Octave. Open up the strumming pattern. No more muting. Up. Chorus. All right. We're almost at the bridge. Now, the melody here is not the exact same as the first two times. This time, it's the same effects as from the first chorus into the first verse, where it's got that telephone effect. But instead, the ending is a little different. So you start at the same, 4, 5 to 4, and then a slide up on the D string from 5 to 7. But instead of going down from 7 to 5 on A, you slide down from 9 to 7 on G, which is just an octave up. It's the same musical note, but because it's a higher string, it gives a sense of rising instead of falling. And instead of sliding, once you get from 9 to 7 on G, I actually do, I just pull off and hit the note. I don't do a hammer-on or pull off there. Because I want this note to be really solidly hit, because it's going to make a chord with the next note, which is the 8th fret of B. And then I'll do that little chord thing that I did there, which is the 9th fret of D. And you kind of hit the chord 3 times and then just slide down. It's kind of meant to really make a rising feeling, tension, and then it slides down and the bass is doing its little... That's a fun riff. So anyways, same start as the little melody we've been doing before. But it ends differently. You go from 9 to 7 on G, 8 on B, and then you hit all 3 of those notes. You hit the G string, the B string, and the D string with the 9th fret. So the final chord you'll make is 9th fret on D, 7th fret on G, and 8th fret on B. Boom. Now you're resting for a little bit, and the lead guitar actually takes up most of this next part. So I'm going to kind of gloss over it. The bass is doing its... And the lead guitar comes in a little later with... And through this whole part, the rhythm is pretty much silent until you get right here where the chuggas come in, as we call them in the business. Now, let's go back to the chord chart. We know this power chord. This is actually, we're going to skip over F7, omit 3, because that's part of the lead guitar track. F7 power chord right there. And the next ones, C, add 9 over G, and A minor on the bottom row, are all this next little sequence here. So you're basically strumming twice, and then you mute, and then you don't strum for one note. And then you repeat that. So think of it in a sequence of 3. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Like that. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. And you hit the F7 power chord that whole time for that first part. And that is 1, 3, and 2 on E, A, and D respectively. Then you go to that C add 9 over G, which is really just open string on D and then the 3rd fret for E and A. The chord name looks a little weird, but that's just because it's a weird combination of notes. It's not a normal triad as you'd normally expect. It's a very dissonant chord. Doesn't harmonize super well unless it's in context, because it's a really good transition chord from this transition into that triad. This is a more harmonic triad. This is a minor, A minor. Hold up. I'm gonna sneeze. Okay, so let's go back to the chord chart. That was a very powerful sneeze. That's more powerful than normal. Okay, so F7, C add 9, A minor. Gesundheit. Thank you. All right, so once you've done those 3 chords, and that A minor is, by the way, 5th fret on E, 3rd fret on A, 2nd fret on D. That was a powerful sneeze. Then the chords coming up from that A minor chord are minor thirds, actually, again, but they're on the A string this time. 5th fret of A and 3rd fret of D. And then slide up to 7 and 5 on A and D respectively. Just like that. And I usually like to mute them this whole time, and then I open it up when I do thirds. Those thirds. Then you go, as the rhythm guitar, you go back to those chords. And here is the only time you actually do use the 7 string, if you have it. You don't need to do this, but if you happen to have a 7 string, when you go through it the second time as a rhythm guitar, the lead guitar is going to be doing right before the pause into the solo. But what you're doing is, if you have the 7 string, go down to B, and you hit the low B 3rd fret, and you make a power chord, 5th fret of E, 5th fret of A. Slide up to 5th fret power chord, so 5, 7, and 7. And then just do a little vibrato like that. Bend up, and you don't have to make it clean. It literally is just supposed to add chaos. And then hit it again and slide down. Boom. So, again, those chuggas, right before the part before, you're silent because the lead guitar is playing that clean part. Go into the chuggas. F7, C add 9, A minor. Thirds. Back to those low chords. C add 9, A minor. Low power chords. Now, if you just have a 6 string, do not worry, because that's supposed to be a low D. I'm not going to ask you to tune to drop D for this whole song. You're just going to go ahead and go up to the 5th fret of D, or sorry, 5th fret of A, excuse me. You're just going to hit the chords an octave up. So 5th fret of A, and then you slide to the 7th fret of A, and then you do that little bend part. Totally acceptable. I recommend it. 7 string is an investment, but sometimes you get little moments like that where it's worth it. All right. Now, let's go ahead and listen to what the rhythm guitars are doing in the background of the solo here. That's not the solo.
Of the night for the first time in picking up things just right, but I never
All right.
felt abandonment quite like that night in a lonely place.
All right. So the chords for this are going to be A, up, and you're going to do this all power chords, by the way. So, and this is all going to be on the E string. So A, which is the fifth fret of the E string, which is an A power chord, but we'll call it the 5th fret of the E string. Slide up to the 8th fret, and then hit the open E power chord, and then go to the F, which is 1st fret. So 5th fret power chord, 8th fret power chord, open power chord, 1st fret power chord, all on the E string. So let's go ahead and listen to it.
There I thought picking up things just right, but I never felt abandonment quite like that night in a lonely place.
And then you go up to G from that 1st fret power chord. You go up to the 3rd fret, and then you slide up to 8 again, and then you go back down to 5. So the core, the root, the soul of the progression behind the solo is all on the E power chord as power chords. 5th fret, 8th fret, open, 1st fret, 3rd fret, 8, and then repeat. 5, 8, open, 1, 3, 8, loop. Now, let's go ahead and play it through again with that progression in mind, just to make sure there's no little changes that are different. Keep in mind, I haven't actually played this rhythm part in a long time. This is the kind of thing where I always played the solo, and live, we only play the solo. And the rhythm part is actually just built to, at this point, to match the bass guitar and give it more depth and more power, because it gives a little bit of a higher note value, higher bite to it.
Holding my hand so tight, picking up things just right, but I never felt abandonment quite like that night in a lonely place.
5, 8, open, 1, 3, 8, 5. Loop it. Just loop that for the whole solo. All right, and then the last time through, instead of going 1, 3, 8, and then going back to the next part, you're just gonna hit 1 and just do straight strums on it, and then go to 3, and then the guitar at that point is in the solo where it hits the harmonics, and then you go right back into the chorus. You don't slide up to 8 on that last time. You actually cut out as the guitar does, the lead guitar does those harmonics. And then, chorus. You do it, I believe, once. And then you're out of the song. Same rhythm chords. F, which is 1st fret. G, 3rd fret. A, 5th fret. Back to G, 3rd fret. Loop that. And the only thing that's different for the rhythm guitar part at the very, very end, same with all of the other instruments, is there's a little outro section. After you've played the chorus through once, instead of going to yet another melody, instead of doing that, you go ahead and take your chord progression. 1, 3, 5, 3, slide up to that 8. Remember, we're doing that again. This last chorus, you do all of the 3 slides that the guitar, it basically does it every other time. So you do that slide, and then you hit the 1st fret again, like you're going to use that as your last note. Instead of just hitting that note and ringing out, you go ahead and keep that strumming pattern up. And then you hit this interesting little chord. It's actually not on the chord chart, but it is an E it's an E power chord. Think of it like an E minor. But instead of being an E minor, you go ahead and switch which fingers. I usually will have my middle finger on top and my ring finger, on the D string. I switch them here, and then you put your ring finger on the 3rd fret instead of the 2nd fret. So the A string is hitting the 3rd fret, and the D string is on the 2nd fret. E is open, G is open. And basically what that does is you've made an E power chord or E minor chord that instead of just being an E minor chord, it's got a note from your F chord. So it's kind of leading you back to the F chord is the idea. And then if you were the lead guitar, you'd hit the full F major. But just like that. Another way you can think about it as a rhythm guitar, from a rhythm guitar perspective, is take that F7 and just lift off the 1st fret, or the E string on the 1st fret. Just lift it off and make it open. And then you go back up to that F power chord, and you're done. You finished the song. So, in recap from the bridge, once you've played your little melody that ascends instead of descends, the different one, boom. Bass guitar is alone, and then the vocals and the lead guitar come in all clean. And then you've got your chuggas, which is F7, C add 9 over G, and A minor. And then you repeat that, and then you do those low power chords. So I'm glad you're vibing. I'm glad it's interesting enough to, and you can sing along. Thirds, same chords, open up the strumming pattern a little more. Low power chords, or you can do the higher ones. All right, solo progression is A, 5th fret, all on the E string. 5th fret, power chord. 8th fret, open, 1. 3rd fret, 8th fret, loop that whole thing. And you do it 4 times. This is the 3rd time. And remember this, last time you don't slide up to the 8th fret on the final iterations. 1, and then 3, pause. Now you're back into the chorus. Same chord progression. Slide up. You don't slide up the 2nd time. Slide up the 3rd time though. And remember, it's always when you're descending, right when you're about to repeat. All right, and then this last time, hang on that F chord a little longer and hit the open E. Open E, back to that F. Boom. That's from the bridge out. And we have just finished the rhythm guitar part for Cat in the Window. Took about an hour, which is, I think, about the amount of time it took for I Want to Tell You. So let's hope the lead part for Cat in the Window is pretty much the same. And maybe a little longer. I hope it's a little more complicated, but since we've gone over the rhythm part, it won't be as bad. So I can't see this toxication of tremors. I love those freaking lyrics. Oh, they're so nice. I like them a lot. Fun fact for those of, I should probably talk into the mic. Fun fact for those that don't know, I wrote the verse, the first lyrics up until the bridge happens. I wrote all those lyrics, and then Sadie Ray, from the bridge on, wrote their heart out. It's just freaking awesome. I really like the way that it kind of all meshes together, because you've got I kind of think my lyrics tend to be very, like, not casual. Like, they're more poetic, but not necessarily in, oh, I'm more poetic, I'm more well-spoken. No, it's just, they're more wordy and, like, verbose. Whereas Ray has this, especially when they want to, they have this very, very convincing and very nice casual tone that they can bring out, like they do in the bridge, where they're just detailing events that happened. It was March 18th. We had a big fight. Like, it's a direction I would never have taken it, and I love every second of it because it's better than I could have ever imagined that bridge going. It's so good. And especially, like, there's sometimes where I just don't write any lyrics, and that's fair game for Ray to just take it and go. And I believe they did write the lyrics for the final chorus, because I don't remember writing this Toxication of Tremors. I do remember the line, a castle of luxury. I did write that, because at the start of the song, the line is a castle of loneliness. And then it's also a castle of luxury. It's not supposed to be things are changing. That's actually just supposed to be, it's both. It's a castle of luxury and loneliness. Fun fact about the lyrics. All right, let's go ahead and get to the lead guitar part. Boom, we're ready. Okay, lead guitar part follows the same exact chord progression as the rhythm guitar parts. When you're hitting just the regular chorus chords, same exact chords, F, G, A, G, and then back and forth. However, you'll see the F power chord, G power chord, A minor power chord all at the top. The lead guitar part has extra notes. They've got that fourth note above, so you go ahead and hit with your middle finger on basically the in-between frets between your power chord on the G string. And then when you hit A minor, you bar it off. And you don't use your middle finger at all. Unless you want to use it to, press your bar down harder on the 5th fret. So, with the lead guitar part, you play those bigger chords through with the rhythm guitar, like just literally note for note, strum for strum, twice. And then once you're about to start your third rotation of F, G, A, G, you go ahead and do a little melody here. These are really fun. I was very happy when I came up with these. So, the way I do this little melody part is, it starts on the G string. I usually like to do a little slide up from like the 2nd or 3rd fret up to the 5th fret of the G string. I usually use my middle finger for this. And then I do a pull-off from 5 to 4 on G, and then a pull-off again to open on G. And I usually will try to, once I hit that open on G, is I'll use like my pinky or some of my other fingers to mute the B and E strings. Hey, Ren, welcome back. Boom. All right, so 5, 4, open on G, and then you stay on G, and you do 5, 7, 9. So, all on G. 5, 4, open, 5, 7, 9. All is hammer-offs, or hammer-ons, pull-offs, and slides. And then, you hit, while you're holding the 9 on G, you hit the 8 on B, and then do a little, really quick hammer-on once you're about to hit the next note. Do a hammer-on up to the 10th fret on B. I usually do it with my pinky. And then you hit that 9 on G again. And then you go up to the 10th fret on G. And then I usually will hit the 9 again before I slide up to 10. It's again, these quick hammer-ons. And then you slide down to 7. And then you finish the melody. You just go back to those chords. Now, this next melody is a little different. Okay, so when you're starting that first melody, that note, the 5, 4 open, starts on the downbeat. So 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1. It starts on 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1. Whatever. I can't count and play at the same time. We know this. But that first note, your slide up starts on a note that starts on 1. When you're doing the second melody, so you finish your melody. If you space it out correctly, it should land you right in the part of the progression where you're hitting A minor for the first time. Back to G. Now, the second melody starts 3 beats later, 3 eighth note beats later, because we're counting in 6/8. That's extra knowledge. 1, 2, 3. So you wait 3 beats. So that actually gives you time to hit the F chord. Whereas when you first did the melody, the first melody, you didn't get time to hit that F chord. But the second time through, since it starts a little later, you get time. All right, now, the second melody is a little trickier. Starts with that same little run, 5/4 open on G string. And then you do 7, 9, 12. You do the same little, basically, idea. It's a hammer-on to a slide-up on 5, 7, and 9. But instead, you're doing it from 7 to 9 to 12. Now, from this point on, you're not going to be able to hit and hold a note like that. You get a little space on that first melody. This next time, you've given yourself a little less room. You've already hit that F power chord, so you need to make up for lost ground, as I like to think of it. So you're hitting all of these next notes really quickly. So 5/4 open, 7, 9, 12. And then you're going to hit 10, 13, 12 on B. All right. Oh my gosh, hold up. Let me feel it out real quick. All right, now, once you've done 10, 13, 12, I understand where we are now. 10, 13, 12. Instead of going back to 10, which feels natural. Instead of doing that, you go 10, 13, 12, and then you go 12 on G, and then you pull off to 9 on G. I know, muscle memory. So 12, 9, and then 7. So you basically go back down that slide that slide up you just did. So 7, 12, 9. So you're literally going up the G string, 7, 9, 12, and then you do this little 10, 13, 12, just this little trill, and then you reverse down the G string. You go 12, 9, 7. And it is very hard. What I end up doing is usually I will hit index finger on the 10, ring finger on the 13, and then I pull off onto 12 with my middle finger. And then I hit the 12 with my ring finger on the G string. And then pull off to my index. And now this last little part is even faster. That little slide down should end you from 12 to 9 to 7. And then you do this little trill, which is 9, 10, 9, and then 7. And then you go 10 and 9 on D. So 9, 10, 9, 7 on G, 10, 9 on D. So that is the second melody in Cat in the Window. Remember, you leave 3 beats of space. Yep. It's just that fast. That was a riff that it took me a long time to really get perfect, but if you practice at it, I promise you can get it. All right, so those melodies, again, are I'll do the little chords before real quick. All right, first melody. And then second one, wait 3 beats. Back to the A minor. Little melody. We learned that in the rhythm part. If you want, you can go back and watch that if you're watching the VOD. All right. Now, we are pretty much done there because the rhythm part that I put for the verse is the same. The lead guitar and the rhythm parts are doing the exact same thing. You're just doing third chords on the, let's see, it should be on the chord chart. It is A minor, omit 5, C, omit 5, and then you carry those shapes to different places. So you've got A minor, omit 5, B minor, omit 5, and then you've got C minor, and then F and G, same, again, major and minor, in accordance with the key. So if you want, I did that a little more in depth in the rhythm part. Lead guitar does the same exact thing. The only difference is that the lead guitar actually does, before you've added your little octave on those third chords, the lead guitar, when it's hitting up on 12 and 10 with the muted third chord, right before it goes back down to the F, it goes down there to 10 and 8 on E. So 10 on E, 8 on A. Just before it goes to F. So it's really just a quick little. This is the second time through. And then add the octave. Chorus. And it'll be the same exact melody in the same exact spot. So choruses are identical for lead guitar as well. Just remember to do those little slide ups to the 8. And they are major, so they're the same shape as the F and the G. All right, melody. Most of that first melody is on the G string. This next one's going to be kind of all over the place. The D string and the B string. All right. Again, we covered that melody in the rhythm part as well. The lead guitar generally plays that as well with a telephone effect on it. So, all right, we've gotten through the first whole big part of Cat in the Window. Now, the real trial. We are at the solo, the bridge and solo of Cat in the Window. The hardest part in the song, of course, I mean, this is solo. It should be. But just this whole section is a lot to remember. I've written some of the chords. I've written one of the chords for the bridge part on guitar. And actually, I think the last 2 chords on the bottom row are also part of the lead up to the solo. And then when we do the solo, I'm just going to explain it in single notes. I'm just going to have to tell you what frets to go on. And then if you're watching the VOD, you can pause it, you can rewind. But let's go ahead and get our clean tone on because the bass guitar is doing the classic. I like that part. Boom. Reverb. Cool. All right. It is kind of, I will go back and forth. Sometimes I'll try to put the mid position on my pickup here. Other times I just leave it on the bridge position. You don't have to deal with it if you don't want to. I'm going to do it right now because it sounds nice. All right, so this first chord here, or sorry, not the first. Second row, third chord, the F7 omit 3, dash, 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 F omit 3. So when you are starting this out, you go on the 3rd fret, and it's kind of a bar on the highest strings here. And I really think of it like a power chord. Literally just think of it like a power chord, but you're hitting it on the B. So keep in mind that when you're doing this little progression, the first notes that you hit are 3rd fret on D, 5th fret on G, 5th fret on B, and then you're going to do a little pull off to your bar, the 3rd fret on B. And that's your index finger barring right here. And then you move your pinky up and hit the 6th fret on B. So it's just like that. That little melody is all on B. And then I'll usually hit the root note as I slide up to the 7th fret. Same shape as if you were to just put that parentheses note right there. And forget about the other note on the B string. And you don't need to bar this. So once you slide up to the 7th fret, forget the bar. You're just doing a little 3-note chord. So that's 7th fret, 9th fret, and 10th fret on D, G, and B respectively. And you just go D, G, B, G. So you go up it and then go down. And then you go slide down to the 5th fret, 5, 7, and 8. And this you will need to bar, because when you do your D and G, before you hit the B, you need to actually lift your pinky and do a little hammer on and pull off before you hit the G note again, the G string. So that's 5, 8, 5 on B. So, again. And then once you go back down to this F7 omit 3, instead of hitting that parentheses note like you did the first time, you take the G string, where it's on the 5th fret, and you hit the 4th fret of the G string instead. So it's descending instead of ascending. Like that, parentheses note. All right, and then on the D string, once you've hit that G string, 4th fret, 5th fret on D, 7th fret, and then 2nd fret on D. So 5, 7, 2 on D. Open on D. Just like that. So. And that's usually where I'll turn off the reverb and turn on my gain. So, in recap, you do that F7 omit 3 with that little bar. And when you hit the B string, remember to go 5, 3, 6 with your pinky. And then once you go up to that 9th fret, just arpeggiate that chord like normal, and then you go down to the 5th fret, or sorry, you go up to 7th fret and do the arpeggiation. 5th fret, and then you do your little hammer on from 5 to 8 to 5. Yeah, Christmas is getting closer. And then you go ahead and go back to that F7 chord, starting on 3, 5, and 5 on D, G, and B respectively. 4 on G, 5, 7 on D, 2 on D, open. Boom. I'm gonna play it through once cleanly, just because it's one of my favorite parts of the song. Boom. And now you do a little slide down, and let me turn my gain back on. Boom. So you've done your little, that whole thing. Make sure you turn your pickup back to bridge if you switched it. And then once you've done your 5, 7, 2, open on D, slide. And you hit those same notes as in the rhythm progression, where you've got the F7 power chord, C add 9 over G, A minor, and then you do your minor thirds on the 5th fret of A and 3rd fret of D, which is a D minor, and then an E minor when you slide up two frets to 7 and 5 on A and D. Now, here's the fun thing. When you're playing the lead guitar part, you have an option. You can hit those thirds, but in the studio recording, if you happen to have an extra rhythm guitarist, we don't on stage, we just have one guitarist, so I just play those thirds. But if you happen to have another rhythm guitarist that's playing the rhythm part and hitting those thirds, what the lead guitarist can do is you're going to hit harmonics on the 5th fret. Boom. So you just bar your finger across the 5th fret here, literally over the metal bar, not in between like you'd normally press them. And in the studio version, when you're doing the chuggas, as we call them, you want to hit, I have 7 strings, so it makes it actually kind of perfect. I actually don't recommend doing this if you have a 6 string because it can be kind of confusing. What I'm doing is I'm scraping across all of the strings in order, but because I have 7 strings, I can hit them in triplets. So ga-pa-da-ga-pa-da-ga, and the 7th one is that high E, and that acts as the downbeat of the next note. So it's supposed to be to tempo. It is kind of hard to hit, especially if you're not used to like things like sweep picking and stuff. I'm not the best at it, and I never have to do it live. But that is what we do in the studio. If you actually listen to the track just before the lead guitar goes to those higher chords before the solo. Yeah. Chuggas? Listen to that high part. You can kind of hear it at the very end. Just like that. Just like that. If you can get that timing right, great, it's there for you. All right, now let's go ahead and go to the lead guitar chords, because at this point the rhythm guitar would just repeat those that F7, C add 9 over G, and A minor, and then it would do those low power chords. The lead guitar does something a slight bit different. You can see that you've got the F add 9 that starts in the 8th fret and goes to the 10th fret and the 12th fret of the A, D, and G strings respectively. So you can see it's basically a power chord with another power chord stacked on top of the higher note of the lower power chord. So it's 2 power chords. Think of it like that. Boom. And I usually hit that with my pinky, the highest note. All right. So the lead guitar, just open strums, just F add 9. Boom. And then you go down to the G minor 7 add 4, which is a fancy name for just barring off the 10th fret on the A, D, and G strings. And it really just acts as a little transition chord, just like how you had the C add 9 over G, into another tonic minor chord. I don't know if it's tonic. Hey, Daniel, welcome. We are just teaching the boys how to do Cat in the Window, and we are just about to get to the solo. So, F add 9. Bar off the 10th fret on A through G, and then you do a triad, a minor triad, same as the A minor shape down here. Welcome. Hey, Leah. Ooh, solo. All right, so this little triad is an A minor triad as well. 12th fret of A, 10th fret of D, and 9th fret of G. Boom. So, you've got that F add 9, stretchy chord, bar, minor, and then the last little single notes you hit just before the band cuts out and then the hi-hat does its little trill and the solo comes in is B string, Actually, no, you can do it as well on the G string. This is a little more convenient. Do the G string, 12th fret, and then you do the 12th fret of the B string. So it's just same fret, G, and then B. And when you hit that B string, make sure you're bending basically up to the 13th fret and back and forth. Boom. All right, cut out. The hi-hats do their little tick-tick-tick. Now for the solo. Okay. Here is the solo for Cat in the Window by Until Further Notice. This is going to be a little bit of a doozy, and I'm going to kind of run through all the notes. And we're going to see how this goes. Bend the B, exactly. And I usually will hit it an extra time, by the way, and slide down. All right. Here we go. So, if you need more time on this, go back to the VOD afterwards and pause it and go back and all those things. All right, G string, 4th fret. You start, that's the first note. Hammer on to the 5th fret and the 7th fret. Super quick. And then you slide up to the 9th fret of G. There's going to be a lot of dissonant intervals overlaid on top of each other in this solo. So, 4, 5, 7, 9. And then while you hold that 9, hit the 6th fret of the B string and go back and forth between 9 and 6 on G and B respectively. And then you can just let it go, you can slide it down. And then you're going to jump all the way up here to 13 on B, and then you do a pull off onto 12 on B. Dang time zones. Sorry, yeah, hopefully I mean, I don't know how late you're going to stay up, Peron, but hopefully you can stay around. But if you can't, no worries. Make sure you get sleep. You need to make sure you're well rested. So, all right. Let's get back to it. All right. So you do a pull off from 13 to 12 on B. And then you do a hammer on from 12 to 14 on G. And then you go ahead and hit the 12th fret of D with your index finger. Wait. Okay, I'm sorry. 14th fret of D, pull off to the 12th fret. So you're basically going to do 13 to 12 on B, 12 to 14 on G, 14 to 12 on D. And you will usually do that little switch from G to D with one finger. And I'll just roll my ring finger over and hit the 14 on D. So you almost get the effect of them running into each other, because they both ring out. All right. And then once you've hit that 14 to 12, slide down to 10 on D. It's really a one smooth motion. 14, 12, 10 on D. And then once you're down on 10 on D, hit the 12th fret of G. Go back to the 10 on D. You just go back and forth. You don't go back and forth. You just do it once. You basically stop your descent, grab that 12th fret of G, and then go back down to 10 on D, and then 9 on D. So you're doing really a descent from 14 to 12 to 10 to 9. But once you hit 10, you just stop, grab that higher note, go back. All right. That was it. Now, once you've done that little descent and high note grab, you go ahead and do 7, 9, 10 on D. Just really quick, hammer on. And then you do the 8th fret on B. It's that jump. You just have to hit the D string and then trust that your index finger is going to be in the right place. And I usually will do a little upstroke to hit that. All right, so from the beginning, 4 to 5 to 7 on G. Slide up and do that little dissonant 9, 6, 9, 6. And then you do 13 to 12 on B, 12 to 14 on G, 14 to 12 on D, 10 on D, 12th fret of G, 10 on D again, 9 on D again, and then 7, 9, 10 real quick on D, and then the 8th fret of B. And then there's a little pause, a little just slight pause, and then you do a big old harmonic across the 12th fret, and you just let that ring out on all the highest 4 open strings. And it's really just to give more chaos. And once you do that little harmonic, you go right down to 4, 5, and 4 on G, our old friend from the melodies. But this time, we're seeing him in a different light. Okay, so harmonics are love, harmonics are life. Correct. All right, so same little motion as, or same idea of the motion that you played up here, 13 to 12, 12 to 14, 14 to 12. This time you're doing 4, 5, 4 on G, just a little hammer on to pull off. And then you do 5 to 7 on D, 7 to 5 on A. Just like that. That's called motifing, ladies and gentlemen. I love that. I love that little riff. Now, once you've done your 4, 5, 4 on G, and you go 5 to 7 on D, 7 to 5 on A, you keep on that 5th fret on A, and then the next part is actually going to be you bar off the 5 and 5 on G and, or sorry, on D and G. And you think of it like you're doing one big ascension. So you do 5 on D, 5 on G, 7 on G, 9 on G. All right. Now the fun part. This is one of my favorite little guitar moves to do. Now, you're going to do a little hammer-on from 7 to 10 on D, and then you hit 7 on G. I just really like that really quick, cut off, half, like, minor pentatonic thing. And you hold, make sure you hold that 9 up until right before you do your little quick trill. Now the next one's a little harder. You're not doing a hammer on and then a note on another string. You're going to do 5 on D, 9 on D, hammer on, and then you hit the 9 again on D and bend it up to 10 and back down. And you can make that bend a little messy. And I usually, because it has that bend, I have to do it with my ring finger. So you can't do it with your pinky. It's a little harder. It just feels uncomfortable. So I usually am just forced to stretch my hand like this. Okay, so I'm going to play through up to the part we're at. All right. Now, you can choose to play it down here at the 4, 5, and 4, 5, 7, 7, 5, but to keep things more compact, another way you can play this part, which is really up to preference, you can also move it, instead of hitting 4, 5, 4 on G, you can hit 9, 10, 9 on D. And then you do the same little slides, except on the A and E strings. You go 10 to 12, 12 to 10. And then all of the same stuff maps. It's just over a smaller variance of frets. I think I played it a little differently in the studio track versus live. Normally live, I'll play the more condensed version up here. It feels a little more nice to play. But when you play it down here, geez, you can see how much I practice. when you play it down there, you get a little more bite out of your chords. I'm going to teach you the one I'm a little more comfortable with, which is the version up here on the lower strings. So 9, 10, 9 on D, 10 to 12 on A, 12 to 10 on E, and then you do 10, 10 on A and D, and then hammer on to 12 and 14, and then you do 12, 15 on A, 12 on D, and now, since you're at this little part, if you remember, you had to stretch down here and use your pinky. You don't have to do that up here. When you're doing 10 to 14, it's a little more condensed because the frets are smaller. So 10 to 14, and then bend that 14 up and down again. All right, then this next part is 12, 14, 15 on A. And then you do a little hammer on from 12th fret of G to the 14th fret of G, and then back. All right, I just have to orient myself sometimes. Okay, so 12, 14, 15 on A, and then 12 to 14 to 12 on G, and then 12 on D. So it's a little ascension, and then a little hammer on and pull off, and then 12th fret of D. Slide up to the 14th fret of D, and then you do a little, again, hammer on pull off to 15, and then back to 14. And then you do a little descent from 17 to 15 to 14 on D after you do your little trill. And then you do 17 on A. Go back and forth between 17 and 14 on A and D. And then you go 2 notes down to 15 and 12, same strings, A and D. And then you hit the 14th fret of A. So, again, that's just like that. It's as simple as that, guys. So, 12, 14, 15 on A. I'll just go through one more time just because I like reiterating things. 12, 14, 12 on G, 12 on D, and then 14, 15, 14 on D, and then 17, 15, 14 on D again, and then A, 17, D, 14. Slide down 2 frets to 12 and 15 on A and D. 14 on A. And now you're at the fastest part. Yeah, no, that's all. That's the whole solo. There's also lyrics going over it, so you're probably more singing with the screaming vocals and everything like that. But yeah, no, that part is all. It's also a little bit like it all kind of becomes a wall of noise at a certain point. And so it's really fun because they're all just flying by. Oh, come on, John. This is about halfway through the solo. All right. Now, we're down on the E string, 5th fret. Hammer on to 7 and 8. And then slide up to 10. Just like that. And then this next part is just going up the strings really fast. Now, once you've gotten from 5th fret of E up to the 10th fret, so 5, 7, 8, 10, you immediately go to A and do 7, 8, 10. I need to stop hitting the low B. And then, then you do 7, 9, 10 on D and 7, 9, 10 on G. So it's literally the same distance. You're going, it's 3 notes stretched across 4 frets. But the first 2, when you do the E, you get this low fit, the 5 on E, and then you do 7, 8, 10 on E, 7, 8, 10 on A. So you skip over this dot for the E and A. And then you use that dot and skip over this extra space when you hit D and G. And now, when you're on B, once you get up to B, you hit 8, 10, 12. 8, 10, 12. And once you're at 12, you keep that root note hit, and you do the 10th fret on E, and it's this loud, screeching, kind of like minor third sound. Slide up to 17, 15 on B and E, respectively. So, and then you go down into a major third shape on 8 and 7, which are B and, let me make sure, and G. B and G. G and B, actually. Those are the notes, at least. Okay, 12 and 10. So B goes 8, 10, 12. Actually, B goes bzz, but in music, B goes 8, 10, 12. And then 12 and 10 on the highest 2 strings. And then 17 and 15 on the highest 2 strings. 8 and 7 on the highest 2 strings. And each time you switch chords, you do 1 less strum. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 1. Okay, so that's how that part is supposed to flow into itself. Oh, come on. All right. Now, tremolo part. This part, honestly, is a break. Because now it's your right hand doing the work, and your left hand is just hitting a single note every so often. So this whole time, just keep your right hand going on, I believe it's 1, 2, 3. Got it. It's 30-second notes. And this is all on the B string. This whole tremolo part is only on the B string. Why are we talking about Pennywise? He's terrifying. Oh my gosh. Emma showed me a picture of a pumpkin that had, like, Pennywise's face on it with the teeth and the hair. It was so creepy. Okay, so B string, 10th fret. Tremolo that. 13 to 12. So 10, 13, 12. 15, 17. Now, you've been doing 30-second notes, so you're locked into the groove. You're going to go back to 10. When you go back to 10 on the B string, all hell breaks loose. Tremolo as fast as you can. This part's not to tempo. And the notes you hit are 10, 12, and then bend that 12 up to 13. And then go back down to 12. And then you go to 8, 6, and then 5, and you stop tremoloing when you hit 5 and just bend up to 6, back down to 5, up to 6, back down to 5. Just like that. Then slide all the way up to 14 on G. And then you slide, you don't slide, you just move your hand. 14 on G, then slide up to 17 on G. And I do that with my middle finger, so my index finger can hit 14 on B. Oh, come on. Sorry, 15 on B, excuse me. Now you're in this little minor third shape. Now, you've gone ahead and done the slide from 14 to 17 on G, and then you hit the B, and you slide the B, and really the whole chord, but because you hit the B most recently, it's most prominent. And you slide it up to 17 so that your middle finger goes to 19 on G. You can see. So the whole chord moves up to 19, 17. And then you just hit them back and forth. And then you go back down to 17, 15. Now, one thing to note, don't hit any Bs, please, they're already suffering. Yes, they are, save the Bs. Oh, come on. All right. Now, one thing to note is that when you slide up from 15 to 17 on the B string, when you slide, it's considered the first note. It would be the same as if you... So you're really going, the strumming pattern is high, low, high, low, high, low, high, low, but instead you just do the slide for the first note. And then when you go down to the 17 and 15 on G and B, you hit low, high, low, high, instead of high, low, high, low, high, low, low, high, low, high. And then, this is the most dissonant interval in this entire solo. You hit 16 on G and 13 on B. Three times. 1, 2, 3. And then you carry that same shape, but you do it on the 17th fret and the 14th fret of D and G. So one string down and one fret up. And you hit that one twice. So we're almost at the end. The last few chords are all third shapes. However, I'm sorry, not third shapes, they're thirds, major and minor thirds, but I've moved the third shape up about 1 octave. So what you're going to do is you're going to hit the 12th fret of A, and then you hit the 13th fret of B 3 times. And then you go ahead and hit the 10th fret of A and 12th fret of B. This is a minor third. Or I'm sorry, no, this is a minor. That A is a minor. And then this is a major. So 10 and 12 on A and B respectively. And mute all the other strings in between. Use your index finger to mute. So 12 and 13 on A and B. 10 and 12, 8 and 10. And then you go back up and hit 10 and 12 once. And this acts as the first of the last 3 notes. The last 3 notes of the Cat in the Window solo are this 10-12 third shape. You hit it really quick and mute it. And then bring your hand up. You do the harmonic on the 3rd fret. Just bar the whole fret and strum on the other side of it. And then you strum the 5th fret harmonic on a regular strum. So just like that. And that will make you look cool. Guaranteed. So much fun. Now you're back to the chorus. Same old chords. You do your little melodies, exact same as before. Slide up. Thank you. That low E chord, just as I taught in the rhythm guitar part. And then hit that F chord with all 4 notes. Ring out, and you're done. All right, I'm going to go through from the chuggas all the way through the solo. And then what we're going to do is we're going to play to the track, and we're going to play the lead part all the way through. So let's go ahead and do this. I'm just going to stop after the solo's done, and then we'll do it to the track. Just like that. All right. Again, if you need refreshers on all those notes, I know some parts I went over a couple times and some parts I didn't go over but once. Go back and watch the VOD, rewind, pause, whatever you need to do. All of the information should be in there. All right. Now, let's go ahead and play this to the track itself. I'm going to go ahead and start. You know what? I'm just going to not play the clean part at the intro because the first part's not to tempo and I don't want to have to change my gain settings. So let's just listen to it, and then once the chorus hits, I'll come in.
I'm staring outside. Emptiness is slowly creeping up into my life, but I'll watch the sun hide behind everything. Horizons just kind of untangle me, but they'll never see me cry. I know the light was always blinding, but running for the hills is always better than unwinding this castle of loneliness is all I can remember. I'm planning my escape in mid-December. I come back to that window in the dead of night. There's a light that likes to flicker barely out of sight. The shadows in the corner seem to come alive, and they're waiting for the day my fears and heart collide. I'm crawling to get out. I guess you'll never know, but I'm broken down. They all just make me feel alone. I'm not the one that ever comes true, you know. So I'll sneak out the round of trouble, do I carry it right? The person in the mirror just wants to run and hide. Well, I'm dying in the silence of every single error I've ever told in confidence, until I'm out of fight. Hold tight, looking for an answer. Summer's getting older and I never got the time to go wise. Reaching up the well and once my windpipe, they all just like to hide behind the inside.
Make sure to put plenty of vibrato on. It's not even March 18th and it's still hitting.
It was March 18th. We had a big fight.
The banger.
But I looked over my shoulder and you weren't there. And for the first time in my life I was cold. Without you there, hold just a moment there. I thought we were for life, my dear. That's what you told me every year. Holding my head so tight, thinking of futures bright. But I never felt abandoned, quite left that night in lonely place.
That song is so much fun. There's so much up and down in that song, just emotionally, dynamically. There's a lot of dissonance. This song is one I'm most proud of just for the use of those ninth, those what are, I think they're major or like flat or just add 9 chords. Oh my gosh, because when you play them up high, they sound absolutely just hellish and demonic. So, where am I? Not those ones. These. Those are strategically used to add way more chaos because they're so much more dissonant, they're so much more off-putting. And then it goes to a really harmonic chord. Those major and minor thirds. And they're spread out more, so it's actually, it makes it sound even a little more harmonic than if you were to just play them. Now, of course, by the way, you can't always hit that harmonic just down here, but it's so much cooler if you do it like that. And you don't even have to hit the whole fretboard the whole time. Like, you don't have to scrape all the strings. You can hit the high notes here and hit the like mid or low notes on the second strum. Boom. It is very difficult, especially if you're starting to do more 7-string stuff and you haven't before. It's very difficult to not hit the low note when you mean to hit the E string. So just for those of you that have picked up a 7-string and can play some of our stuff that has that 7-string, just know that's always going to be, it's going to be a thing that you'll be able to work out. You can get used to not using that. So, that being said, we have pretty much finished Cat in the Window. I've gone ahead and shown you guys the rhythm guitar part and the lead guitar part. We do still have about 20 more minutes left. I think I'll spend the next 20 minutes talking with you guys, what you guys think about the song, what it means to you, if this is your first time really hearing it or you're just kind of popping in, you haven't heard the song too much. Let me know what your first impressions are. And next week, we're going to be doing Mirror Mirror, which is the other track that our drummer Rue did on This Is Temporary. This one was done by Dallas DeCarey. Cat in the Window was written, the drums were written by Dallas DeCarey. Mirror Mirror is going to be next week. Mirror Mirror has a lot of chords. You think this is a lot of chords? Mirror Mirror has more chords, I'm pretty sure. I think I counted. There are 13 unique chords in the chorus alone. Let's make everyone cry for a few weeks. Yeah, Cat in the Window, into that. And then, what's the other sad? There's more sad songs. Yeah. Mirror Mirror is next. I think, it's going to be a nice one. You know what I could do if we want to just take out this one real quick? I can show you guys. I can either talk with you guys about Cat in the Window and Mirror Mirror or whatever, or I can teach you guys real quick how to play T Stockholm Syndrome. What do you guys think? Because T has 4 chords, I want to say it has 4 chords and like a few melodies. It would be really easy to knock out in 20 minutes, I think. Yeah. You want to do T? You want to learn how to do T? All right. Let's do it. Okay. Perfect. All right. Since I don't have a chord chart here, we're just going to have to go by my hands. All right. So the main 3 chords you're going to be using in T Stockholm Syndrome, really the main 2, are, and these are played throughout the verses, and they also show up in the choruses. The main 2 you're going to need is an F, what is that? An F7 chord. And it's the full triad. So you've got 2nd fret of the E string. And again, ignore the low string because that's a low B and that's a 7-string thing. Just hashtag 7-string problems. 2nd fret of E, which is the F sharp 7. 2nd fret of E, 4th fret of A, which is a C sharp. So F sharp, C sharp, and then F sharp, C sharp, F, and then B flat, A sharp. So you do 2nd fret E, 4th fret A, and then you use your middle and ring finger to do the 3rd fret on D and G. Fax, no printer. Just like that. That's the first chord and the main chord in T Stockholm Syndrome. Just like that. And then generally you're just going to hit the low note and then do an upstroke strum for the rest. Or like little downstrokes. And those little light percussions in between are me, after the upstroke, just doing like basically lifting off of the chord, but still keeping my fingers on the strings so they're not pressed down. And then I basically strum again and palm muting while I do it. I just palm mute and strum at the same time. And then as I'm doing a little muted upstroke, I do that to transition into the next downstroke. The next chord is you move to the 2nd fret of the A string. Basically, move your whole hand up 1 string. So the 2nd fret of E goes to 2nd fret of A, 4th fret of A goes to the 4th fret of D, and then D and G go to the 3rd frets of G and B. However, the one change is this high note, the B on the 3rd fret, needs to go up to the 4th fret. So you're going to make this little, basically, it's 4th fret of D, 3rd fret of G, 4th fret of B. And then you hit the 2nd fret of A. And that is a B7 chord. These are both major. So F sharp 7, B7. Same strumming pattern. Hit the low note. And then do your little chuckas and strums. And then same, when you go to this next chord, just use your thumb and hit the low note. And then just back and forth. Slow. Make sure to keep them evenly spaced. And that's really the hard part, is keeping a consistent rhythm. When when you've got really floaty chords like this that are very sparse. Now, while the lyrics are going, you can just kind of keep this little strumming pattern up, but right before the chorus hits, or not right before, but before the chorus hits, you've got a pre-chorus where you get rid of those little extra muted strums. You just do the big hits. And you'll notice I'm not palm muting those. My hand's just going. I'm just cutting off the strings with my left hand. I'm pressing them down, lift. Lift them and keep your fingers on the string. Lift. Yeah, my fingers are still touching the string, but I'm not putting any pressure on them. They're just floating above it. And as long as you're not on a harmonic when you do that, they won't ring out. So, as you do your downstroke, keep the chord held. When you do the upstroke, almost like right after, like immediately after, cut it off. Same with the higher chord, that B7. And then when you do your little transition into the chorus, you take those high notes, the 3rd fret on G and 4th fret on B. Keep those hit and lift your ring and index finger. Notice I lift them off, and you're just left with those 2 notes. Slide down from 3 on G and 4 on B, down to 1 on G and 2 on B. Now you just do the slide down. Later on in the song, you're going to do that same exact shape and slide, and then you slide back up. Just keep in mind the first time you do it, you just slide down, and then you go right back to that F sharp 7 chord, the 2, 4, 3, 3 on E, A, D, and G respectively. So we're in the verse here. Lyrics are going. Beautiful voice. Singing about sadness and stupid people. Or a stupid person rather. You know. Things. Alright. No more chuckas. Cut off the note on the upstrokes. Same on the high. And then you just do that little G and B. Slide down. And yeah, they'll always be 1 fret apart and 1 string apart. So 3 and 4, 1 and 2. And then, yeah, once you do that little slide down, do a little chucka to enter back into the chorus, because the chorus is going to have those chuckas. Go back to your F sharp 7 chord. Stupid person, but great song that came out of them. I know, right? Don't let anybody tell you you're good for nothing. You're always good as a bad example, as my dad would always say. Okay. The chorus is this. It includes those same 2 chords and just adds a little transition chord in between. So we've only got 1 more chord to learn, and then you've got all the chords for the song. And then I'll just need to go over the little transition, like solo-y bits. Okay. So the chorus starts with that same 2, 4, 3, 3. And then you do the 3rd fret on E. You cut out the whole chord, just do that single note. As a little transition. And you can even do open 3, like just kind of lazily. Just make sure you don't accent it. Just the main thing you're trying to get is that right up to the 4th fret. Now the chord at the 4th fret is a bar across the 4th fret. You don't need to do the whole, like all of the strings. Just do from E all the way to G, And then you hit the 6th fret with your ring finger of the A string. So you've got 4, 6, 4, 4. Then you do your little, what is that, 2, 4, 3, 4 chord on A, D, G, and B respectively. So, and then you go back down to that 4, 6, 4, 4. And that's basically the last transition back to the 2, 4, 3, 3, the F sharp 7. So that's the concept behind it. Transition, 4, 6, 4, 4 on E through G, B7, and then just before you're about to go back down to that first chord, you just gotta kind of lightly, or not lightly, just hit that G sharp minor 7 chord. That's what that is. Hit that G sharp minor 7 once. And what's nice about it is you've already got, if you hit it with your pinky and your ring finger, all you have to do when you switch down to that 2nd fret is place your 2 fingers on the 3rd fret, your middle and ring finger. That's the only thing that's different in those shapes. You bar it off, and in this one you don't, and you just hit the 3rd fret instead of the 2nd with the bar. Okay. So once again, transition, 3rd fret. This is the G sharp minor 7, B7, back to the G sharp minor 7 once, and then to the F sharp 7. And then hold it out. And now that count right there, this is a really slow 6, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So when you get to the final part where there's a little pause, 5, 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So you hold the chord out on the downbeat, and then on the 5th and 6th note, you just do basically slam your hand down. Just this is kind of like a slap that you're cat gripping, like you're cat clawing. 1, 2, 3, 4, 6, and then you're back to the verse little riff. But this is a little post-chorus because the vocals haven't started out and you have this little solo. So you go F sharp 7, and then you go to the B7, and then just before you're about to go back to the F sharp 7, there's a little solo here. You go on B, 4, 7, 6, and I do that with my ring finger and pull off to my middle finger when I do 7 to 6. So ring finger 4 on B, slide up to 7, pull off to the middle finger, 6th fret of B, and then you jump down to index finger on the 2nd fret of B, and then you hammer on to the 4th fret of B, and then back, pull off to the 2nd fret. And then you hit with your middle finger the 3rd fret of G. So 4, 7, 6 on B, 2, 4, 2, and then 3 on G. And then go right back. The fun part of that is doing 2, 4, 2, 3 on G, and then you immediately have to transition to the F sharp 7. Look at that. I think we're gonna finish perfectly on time. All right, same verse, same 2 chords, F sharp 7 and B7. Just go back and forth with the little chukkas thrown in. Again, a business term, the chukkas. They're not chuggas, they're chukkas. Pre-chorus again, before the 2nd chorus. Same deal, don't hit the chukkas. cut off on the upstrokes. All right, go 3 and 4, 1 and 2, back up to 3 and 4 on G and B. All right, chorus riff. Play that through again. 3 to 4 to the G sharp minor 7, and then B7. All right, the second chorus, we're gonna extend. We're gonna do one more round through. So you go hit the first fret of the E string, and then you restart the riff. So just before you would end, go back, and instead of doing the, we're gonna do a little fun riff. I like to play it like a bass player. I switch my hand position. So the way you play this is you go 2nd to 4th to 6th fret on E. And that's just really a hammer-on, so you only have to hit it once. And then you kind of pluck 3 to 4 on D. And then you pull off back to 3. It's kind of a quick hammer-on. And then you do the pull off a little later. And then you slide up from 4 to 6 on A. So E has that little ascension, ascent, not ascension. And then you have the little hammer-on trill, weird trill on D, and then slide up on A from 4 to 6. And then you hit the 4th fret on, since you've slid up. And if you do it with your ring finger, you're already in position to just put your index finger on the 4th fret of E and bar the rest of it, because you've basically done this little solo and you've put your hand in the perfect position to play that G sharp minor 7. Here is where you do want to bar the whole string. If you haven't been doing that, this is the one time you need to do that. When you're on your G sharp minor 7, you've got the bar on the 4th fret, and you've got your ring finger on the 6th fret of the A string. Slowly emphasize those high strings a little more while you're strumming through that chord. And then this little kind of da 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 da, what freaking, I can't, da 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 da, that little part is just, you've barred off this whole chord, you keep strumming it, but you emphasize the high notes and you do 4 6 4 6 4 on the E string while letting the lower notes kind of ring out beneath it. And even at that point, I'm not even strumming the low notes. I still let them ring out. You want to let them ring out, but you don't want to emphasize them because you want the high notes to take precedence. Then you go back up to that B7. G minor 7. And this final chord, do not hit the root note, as we've been hitting the root note first every time. Don't hit the root note. Hit all of the notes above it. Hit the 4th fret on A, 3 and 3 on D and G. And then pluck the root note last. The first and last thing they hear you pluck is the lowest note of that F sharp 7 chord. So, again, let's just play it once through from, we'll go from the second verse. So, second verse, second chorus, and then we're done. We'll also do the post-chorus of the first chorus. I wish Sadie was here to sing. And there you go. There's T Stockholm Syndrome and Cat in the Window, and we are just out of time. Thank you guys so much for joining me. It has been a blast. Next week, we're going to cover Mirror Mirror, and we're going to teach you guys how to play that on guitar. I'll have the whole chord chart as well for that one, and I really look forward to seeing y'all again. It's been a blast, and I'm glad I got Cat in the Window out of the way. That's one of the harder ones to deconstruct and like explain, I guess. So and then next week, if you have any questions about the previous streams, feel free to shoot them out. We seem to have plenty of time at the end. We're also approaching the point where we're going to start hitting some of the harder songs. I'm Blue, Mirror Mirror, Untitled One. Once we hit those, I'm just going to assume that you guys kind of have a general knowledge of my teaching style and how to play guitar. I'm going to kind of speed through them because they're going to take a while because there's a lot of intricate little parts. Thank you so much for joining, and I hope you guys are having a great day. See you guys next Saturday, and yeah, we'll see you then. Bye.
Don't have all the curves that they used to, but I refuse to make a change tonight. I cut the highway empty and alone, and everywhere I go, it's always gonna show. I'm burning through my gasoline like cigarettes, and the ghost that likes to haunt my car is free to coalesce. These habits, they just never seem to cease, and the cigarettes, they rot my brains and teeth. I'm biding my time as I'm biting my nails, and I'm pulling out my hair, 'cause these habits I can never seem to beat. Taken right back to where I began. I never know where to go, 'cause I just can't understand. I keep running myself in circles and still I pick up the pieces but just don't have the will. I've dealt with all this shit for way too long. Demons, won't you let me go? I'm never moving on. These habits, they just never seem to cease, and the cigarettes, they rot my brains and teeth. sleep well, oh dear of mine, 'cause I'll be gone by morning shine. I'm off to see what I can find. I've seen broken men in uniform, tattered patches in a violent storm. We all need something to keep us warm. And fire lies up in the sky. I'll get there even if I have to fly. It may take long, this trip of mine, but I'll get there even though I might just die. Some speak of heaven raining down, havoc washing through every town. They give these people a golden crown. Some tell me I'm not truly free, that they have seen what I can't see. It's funny how this world can be. And fire lies up in the sky. I'll get there even if I have to fly. It may take long, this trip of mine, but I'll get there even though I might just die. And fire lies up in the sky. I'll get there even if I have to fly. It may take long, this trip of mine, but I'll get there even though I might just die. And fire lies up in the sky. I'll get there even if I have to fly. It may take long, this trip of mine, but I'll get there even though I might just die.
Was the knight in shining armor in your movie? Would put your lips on mine in love the aftertaste. Now I'm a ghost, I call your name, you look right through me. You're the reason all my feelings oscillate. I've been trying to fix my pride, but it's all broken. It's all broken. Lying, try to hide, but now you know it. That I'm at an all-time low, 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 was the prototype like 3 steps on that CD. An example of the